In Venezuela, the prosecutor's office further denounced the kidnapping of the national migrants by the government of El Salvador and the United States, describing it as a crime against humanity. The Myanmar Red Cross reported that 7.7 magnitude earthquake that shocked the country on Friday destroyed 70% of the Sagaing city. In France, a court found far-right leader Marine Le Pen guilty of embezzlement of European Parliament funds, effectively banning the politician from running for office in 2027. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We will begin with the news. Stay with us. In Venezuela on Monday, the prosecutor's office further denounced the kidnapping of national migrants by the government of El Salvador and the United States, describing it as a crime against humanity. This way, the Venezuelan Attorney General Tarek William Saab condemned arbitrary detentions by the U.S. government and the criminalization of national migrants, most of whom had no criminal records, but were detained allegedly due to links with the extinct criminal organization Tren de Aragua. Saab further condemned the mistreatment of the Venezuelans who are currently kidnapped in El Salvador as a high-security prison. The general attorney referred to the kidnapping as a crime against humanity since it intends the discriminatory basis of nationalities in an absolute violation of international law.
Y así lo voy a tipificar de una vez de entrada.
And I'm going to typify it like this from the beginning. This becomes a crime against humanity.
Porque están todos los supuestos.
Because there are all the assumptions that, although the Rome Statute consults, registers, so that an action of this caliber is typified as a crime against humanity. First, because it is discrimination against a nationality. What is nationality? To be Venezuelan. That has nothing to do with it. That is an absolute violation of the Rome Statute and of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights of the UN. El Salvador signed the Rome Statute. Therefore, it is violating it, since they are detained and deported for being Venezuelans. Second, they have suffered cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment. Third, they have been illegally deprived of their freedom, apart from having violated their physical integrity.
The Attorney General of Venezuela reiterated that none of the migrants, not the Venezuelan migrants kidnapped in El Salvador, were on the dismantled gun in Aragua, nor had an arrest warrant against them.
And they have no clue that these Venezuelans are being linked to a dismantled gang in this country called Tren de Aragua.
Una banda desmantelada en este país, como es el llamado Tren de Aragua.
Whose main members are detained in Venezuela, more than 50. Another large group of that gang, in confrontations, were neutralized. And another group has been given the order of arrest and a red alert. I want to highlight, because we have seen it like this, based on official lists that have circulated.
Quiero destacar porque lo hemos visto así en base a listas extraoficiales que han circulado.
That no one is on the list of arrest warrants that the public prosecutor's office has issued with a request for a red alert to Interpol. None of the unofficial lists that we have seen.
Despite the order of U.S. court, 17 new Venezuelan migrants were deported from the U.S. and sent to the tourist confinement center in El Salvador. with the allegations that they belong to the criminal organization Tren de Aragua. The Donald Trump administration transferred the Venezuelans to the maximum security prison in El Salvador, violating all legal regulations and their human rights. The migrants are that the 238 that in previous dates have been kidnapped in the same way. The U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has confirmed the transfer of the migrants under the Alien Enemy Act, which dismissed the usual due to processes pulling out by the U.S. Constitution. The President of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, explained that they are taking measures to face the future imposition of tariff by the U.S. government. The Mexican president points out that through the fourth transformation, the Mexican nation will be safe from the 25% export tariffs sent by her U.S. counterpart Donald Trump. The head of state also highlighted that the creation of social programs is focused on the most vulnerable and low-income population. On April the 2nd, the U.S. government tariff measures against Mexican products, specifically those of automotive industry, will go into effect.
Presenta pues para afrontar esta situación, que es el día que el presidente Trump va a anunciar los famosos aranceles al mundo entero.
While giving her morning address on Monday, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum assured that the fourth transformation government is ready to face the U.S. if it imposes tariff on exports come April 2nd.
Viene el 2 de abril, que es el día que...
Now comes April 2nd, which is the day that President Trump is going to announce the famous tariffs to the whole world. Today, 90% of so-called commentators say that the President of Mexico is responsible for what is going to happen on April 2nd. But that is a measure that President Trump is taking. What do we do about it? Well, we are looking for the best conditions for our people and for the nation, and we have a plan that will be presented in due time to face this situation.
Pues para afrontar esta situación.
The World Food Program warns of a growing crisis for children in Haiti. The organization states that about $10 million are needed to feed more than 1.3 million Haitians, specifically children. This is the face of violence unleashed by armed groups in Caribbean country, causing high levels of hunger and forced displacement. 35% of children under the age of 5 in the country are stunned, with 1 of 6 infants on the brink of starvation. Members of the Colombian Education Worker Federation mobilized this Monday in support of the social reform promoted by the government. The rally aims to raise awareness about the need to improve worker conditions for teachers. In addition, it is expected that for this day, the union organization will deliver rallies of demands to the government in which they expose their proposals in order to achieve better working conditions for the union's teachers. The union argued that Colombia is a country where the people struggle and senators of the 7th Commission get paid, in reference to the commitment that Sangs delivered reform promoted by the government.
Del Congreso. Petro denunció un bloqueo institucional y decretó un día.
Let's take a very first break, but don't go away because we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. The Myanmar Red Cross reported the 7.7 magnitude earthquake that shook the country on Friday, destroying 70% of the Sagaing city. The powerful earthquake left at least 2,056 deaths, 3,900 injured, and 270 missing people, according to the latest releases by the country's state administration council information team. On the rescuer, the military junta informed that there are specialists from several countries, among them China, Russia, Singapore, India, and Thailand, who are participating in the search and rescue labors. They confirmed that the situation in the Sagaing city was more uncertain as it was in zones of armed conflict. In this context, about 400 Chinese earthquake expert rescuers and medics are participating in relief efforts in different parts of Myanmar. The teams have reportedly rescued 6 survivors so far in the heavily affected areas of Mandalay and Nai Pianta. In addition, the Chinese government sent on Sunday a batch of goods, including clothes, medicines, and other daily necessities, and another batch of Monday that contained materials such as tents, blankets, and more than 4,000 first aid kits. China has pledged to provide Myanmar with close to $14 million in humanitarian aid following the deadly quake.
Many people died in the earthquake in the area where we live, as well as on nearby streets and Sagaing Hill. The urban area is worst hit, causing the largest number of casualties. Some roads and bridges collapsed completely. Many people were buried under rubber.
The Chinese rescue teams came to help us. They have asked about our situation and needs. They have given us aid and support. Thank you very much. I hope I can express my gratitude to the Chinese rescue teams on behalf of the people in the affected areas.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Sunday threatened to bomb Iran and impose secondary tariffs if the Persian nation does not reach an agreement with the White House on its nuclear program. In declarations to U.S. media, Trump said that if they do not reach an agreement, there will be bombings as never seen before. In this sense, the president also had the possibility of imposing secondary tariffs as he did 4 years ago. Washington accuses Tehran of enriching uranium to develop weapons, although Iran has stressed that its nuclear program is peaceful, unlike the Israeli one. On the other hand, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian stated that Tehran rejects direct talks with the U.S. on the issue, pointed out that Iran keeps the door open to negotiations with the U.S. through mediators. The Supreme Leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, affirmed that any kind of attack against his country will receive a reciprocal and forceful response. During his speech on the occasion of the end of the fascist holiday, Khamenei points out that he does not see it probable that the country will be attacked from outside and warned against the call for protests in Iran by sectors supported by the U.S. The Iranian Supreme Leader took the opportunity to point out that Israel's genocidal actions against Palestine are committed with the support of the United States. Khamenei's statements come after U.S. President Trump threatened Tehran with bombings and tariffs if they do not reach an agreement on the Iranian nuclear program. In the United States, auto shock took critical hit following President Donald Trump's announcements of permanent tariffs. Europe and Asia are the continents most affected by the significant market decline. Investors reacted quickly to the news, fearing that these tariffs could severely impact the profitability of automotive companies and lead the highest prices for consumers. Analysts also warned that these measures could further destabilize the automotive industry, as many companies relied on global supply chain and imports of parts and complete vehicles.
Habrá una única excepción. Los vehículos ensamblados en México o Canadá estarán sujetos a un impuesto.
In France, on Monday, a court found far-right leader Marine Le Pen guilty of embezzlement of European Parliament funds, effectively banning the National Rally politician from running for office in 2027. In addition, the 5-year ban Le Pen was handed by the judges at $108,195 fines. Furthermore, The French leader was sentenced to 4 years in prison with 2 years suspended and the other 2 to be severed outside jail with an electronic bracelet, neither of which will be applied until the verdict on her appeals. Le Pen, together with 24 party members, were found guilty as a scheme to implement European Parliament funds by using money destinated for Parliament assistance to pay party workers. The years-long scheme supposedly caused losses of $4.89 million to European taxpayer funds. In this context, the National Secretary of the French center-left party, the ecologist Marine Tondelier, stated that Le Pen must serve her sentence according to the law like any other national after committing a crime.
When you lecture others on exemplary behavior, you must first apply it to yourself. That is what ultimately ensures integrity and the proper functioning of public institutions, as guaranteed by Article 5 of the Constitution. It is therefore normal that someone aspiring to the presidency respects these fundamental principles of integrity. She did not respect them, and the best way to avoid being convicted is not to seek immunity for oneself but to follow the law, to not commit crimes or offenses. She has been convicted today, and she must serve her sentence like any other French citizen.
Comme tous les Français, je rappelle que si.
Let's take a last break, but don't go away because we'll be right back. Welcome back. On Sunday, the Palestine Red Crescent Society announced the recovery of 13 bodies of health workers. 8 of them were members of the organization, 5 were rescued, and 1 was a UN worker, all missing since last Sunday following an Israeli offensive on southern Gaza. They were found in the area of teleSUR and one of the neighborhoods most affected by the conflict in the city of Rafah on the border with Egypt. The organization said the bodies were difficult to recover because they were buried in sand and some had begun to decompose. In a press conference held on Sunday morning before the news broke, the society's president Jonis al-Kaba'id held the Israeli authorities responsible for the safety and lives of the medics.
He had been a paramedic at the Red Crescent for 18 years. He transported the wounded. He did not transport missiles or bombs in the ambulance. He carried martyrs. He carried the wounded and the sick. That's what he did. He never carried missiles or bombs.
The medical and civil defense crews were executed. They tied their hands and placed their bodies in a hole and covered it with sand. Why? These people should be prosecuted in the International Criminal Court. This should be a priority, not only the hostages. This case should shake the whole world and everyone should be aware of the case of the paramedics and medical crews. They went to provide first aid and they all died at once.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu designed on Monday Vice Admiral Eli Sharpit as the new head of the Shin Bet, that is the country's General Intelligence and Internal Security Service, Austin Ronenbart. Bart was removed from office for conducting an investigation into an alleged corruption case in which Benjamin Netanyahu was involved. The Prime Minister's office commented that Sharpit is the right person to lead the agency because of his extensive experience in the service of the Israeli forces. Meanwhile, the opposition had the population criticize such decision.
Benjamin Netanyahu, investigación del Shin Bet sobre el llamado Qatar Gate, un caso que
Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei confirmed the right of Palestinian people and condemned the Israeli occupation on the date of the Palestinian land. On his X account, Khamenei stressed that the Israeli occupation regime, which controls the land of Palestine, has no right over it. He further emphasized that the land belongs to the entire Palestinian people, including Muslims, Christians, and Jews, backing up his claims with historical and geographical arguments. In this context, the Hamas Palestinian Islamic resistance movements opposed to any plan that involves displacements or resettlements for the Palestinian people. On Monday, Russia denounced that Kiev regime is attacking its energy systems. The Defense Ministry reported that Ukrainian forces attacked energy infrastructure in Bryansk, causing power outages. The ministry said that an artillery attack on a facility of a subsidiary of the public joint stock company Rossetti Center and Bryansk Energo led to a disruption of the high voltage line in the province's bordering Ukraine. The government agency points out that the continuous deliberate attacks by the Kiev armed forces on Russian energy facilities show the complete inability of the Zelensky regime to assume any of its obligations regarding the settlement of the conflict. And another topic, it was unveiled on Monday that Pope Francis has approved the canonization of Venezuelan nun Mother Carmen Rendiles, founder of the Servants of Jesus, who carried out her service in parishes and schools, dedicating herself to those in need. Rendiles was born in Caracas on August 11, 1903, and dedicated herself to the apostle in a parish from a very young age. She took her perpetual vows on September 8, 1932. Later on, she founded the Congregation of the Servants of Jesus together with many Latin American sisters. After her death in 1977, she was beatified on June 16, 2018 for the miraculous healing of the young woman suffering from idiopathic triventricular hydrocephalus, attributed to her intersection. With the canonization, Mother Carmen Rendiles became the first female saint of Venezuela. In this regard, through his social network Telegram, President Nicolas Maduro stated his joy over the canonization news and expressed, "The year 2025 is full of formidable news in all areas. We receive with Christians rejoicing and great expectation the announcements of our Saint Mother Carmen Rendiles, a woman who has a genius demonstration of God's love and earned the legacy of proven miracles. Today, her canonization is ratified by the Catholic Church through His Holiness Pope Francis. Venezuela renews its faith, and the world has more reasons to pray with us, to cry out for the hope and brightness of our homeland. Many God, Saint Jose Gregorio Hernandez and Saint Carmen Rendiles bless Venezuela and beyond." And with that, we have come to the end of this news brief for teleSUR English and from the South. I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.